Hey, so we're doing a little bit of fruit prep for this week. Got some strawberries here, which was about a pound. Got a cantaloupe here. And I've got about 2 pounds of pineapple chunks, which I need to break down. This is too large for us to eat in our house. So I went ahead and capped and washed my strawberries and hold some of them that were still really unripe. So basically what I do, I cut them into quarters. Except for these bigger ones right here, like this one. And then I usually just cut them in half and then cut them down into thirds after that. And then I'll just go ahead and go through this whole thing. Now for some of your smaller strawberries, yes, I'm cutting some up and then I'll be back. But some of the small ones right here, I just cut these in half. Alright, and I'll be back in a second. So here we got all the strawberries quartered or halved or cut into six, depending on the size of the berry. And then I'm going to set that aside. I'll put that into smaller quart-size bags just to make it easier to keep in the refrigerator. Next up, we have the cantaloupe. These two that I got are not the prettiest specimens. They were at the bottom of the pile and everything. As you can see, it's got a lot of bruising on it, but it'll still eat fine. One of the best ways to tell if your cantaloupe is a good one or not, to be eaten that day or, next couple of days. One, you want to look for the yellow color between the webbing here. If there's a lot of green, like around the where the stem was, if there's a lot of green all throughout, then it's not ready. It's going to taste green. My number one way that I can tell if it's really, really good, just you can either push in the stem in, or you can just pick it right up if it's a really good one and give it a smell. Push in the stem. If it smells like a good sweet cantaloupe, then you know you got a good one. If it doesn't smell like a good sweet cantaloupe, then it's not ripe yet. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this bad boy in half. Yeah, that one's actually ready because it just cut into it so easy. And then you have the seeds in here. It's my spoon, there it is. And then just to get the seeds out is really, really easy. You just, and you can see where it's bruised where I pushed in on it. You just take a spoon. What I like to do is I like to put my thumb right into the belly of the spoon like that. And just go around. Just go ahead and dig right into the cantaloupe. Go around the seeds and just go ahead. Scrape it out just like you would squash, like your winter squashes and stuff like that. Now, I have not tried growing this from the seeds that I've gotten out of a store-bought. I never have. And I just would rather not. So again, I'm just going to go in here. And actually, this one is just so soft and right. I don't have to go in and loosen it up. The seeds. I can just go ahead and scrape them all out like that. Set this aside for a second, and I'm going to toss the seeds into guts. There we go. Alright. Now I'm going to go ahead and break it down into more manageable pieces, which is usually as small as this one is. I think I can just cut the halves down into quarters. And I do this before I, get the rind off. But I only cut it down this far before cutting the rind off. It's just too tedious for me to, try to do it when the melons are in smaller, when it's in the much smaller pieces. And then I'm going to take a good knife. This is the one I used to cut up my strawberries. I'm just going to use it for my cantaloupe. I go as close up under the skin as I possibly can. And just let the knife do its job. I actually need to get this one sharpened again. It's getting pretty dull. And if you have any green, like right in here, you want to try to steer clear of that green, so you don't end up eating it. It's just really not that great. So go ahead and get this peeled. And if you miss any rind or any of the green parts, you can always go back and trim that off. I got a little bit too much cantaloupe off that, so I'm actually going to cut that off and set it aside for sampling. And again, just come back and cut that extra green off. Definitely picked a couple that were too ripe, but cantaloupe does not last long in my house anyway. I could go through a whole small one of these in a single setting myself, so. Let's go ahead and break it down. As soft as this one is, I'm just going to go with the rind against the board. Just like that. Just try to get it as close to the skin as you can. And just because you see an ugly fruit or vegetable at your grocery store, I mean, it doesn't mean that it's not good. It's still edible. And you would actually be surprised at how much fruit and veggies go to waste even before it leaves the farmland, the farm or the orchard or whatever, just because it's not pretty. And usually some of the not so more beautiful pieces, like some of your not so pretty pineapples, they go, they get canned, or they go into juice making, like some of your not so pretty apples. The cantaloupes guarantee you, when you get a tray of cut fresh fruit, I guarantee you the cantaloupe that's in it is probably not pretty. But it can't sell if it's not pretty in the stores. So they still have to try to make their money one way or the other. I'm just over here washing my hands because cantaloupe juice can be sticky, sticky, sticky. I'm going to go ahead and get a gallon bag for my cantaloupe. Because what I'm going to do is cut it up into bite-sized chunks, and then I'm going to plop it right here in the bag, and it's going to go in the fridge. So I just try to, bite-sized chunks. At least when you get a really good, nice ripe one with like this one, like the two that I got today or yesterday, they're pretty juicy because there's a lot of juice right here on the table or on the mat. Alright, going to wash my hands really quick and the board. I'll be right back. Alright, and last but not least, we are going to work on the pineapple chunks. I went ahead, washed my hands, wiped down the board, or wiped down the counter, wiped down the mat. And now we're just going to go ahead get the pineapple open. And one reason I go ahead and break this down further is because it's hard for me to find a good pineapple at this time of year in the store. So I usually go ahead and get it cut up because that way I can look at it and tell if it's good and right. But you still have a lot of the core, which is really, really, really tough. See if I can find a really nice, good piece with a lot of core in it, because sometimes you get a really massive amount of core. But you can barely see this one here because they actually did this one pretty good. So I just go right to where that core begins and just slice that off. And then I go ahead and break it down in the chunks like this. And I'm just break it down into smaller pieces, so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and break this all down. And sometimes you get some without any core to it, and then you can just go ahead and break it down like that. Alright, so I've got most of this cut up. I'm just transferring it over so I have room on my board to cut up these. That's literally the last 3 chunks. So I'm just transferring it right back into the clamshell that it came in. I didn't drain the juice that it has accumulated in the bottom because I actually love pineapple juice. I'll just drain some out whenever I want to drink some. Put it in, pour it into a cup. So, last 3 pieces. I'm just checking for a core. This one does not have a core. This one has the slimmest bit. Still see a little bit of cord. There we go. And that's it. Now, when you're dealing with fresh pineapple, expect your hands to start feeling a little slimy. There is an enzyme in pineapple. I want to say it's called bromelain. But it breaks down proteins. It interacts with proteins. It can break them down. It can cause them, like in your milk and yogurts, and can cause those to curdle. That's why if you read on your Jell-O boxes when you're making Jell-O, it says not to use fresh pineapple, because that enzyme in the pineapple and the pineapple juice, it will keep your gelatin from firming up, so it stays in a liquid state. So that is it for our fruit prep. And like I said, I'm going to put the strawberries here into quart baggies to keep them in the refrigerator, and just to make it easier all around. The cantaloupe I've already got bagged up. The pineapple I've already, got it back. And I will see everyone later. Bye.